Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. It is January 9th, 2020. And ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to jump on here for a short time and go over some of this data that we have coming in. This is related to, as we call it, some geomagnetic unrest. In my last live stream, I showed all of you what was potentially going to happen with that coronal mass ejection, and it was definitely going to be a direct impact on the Earth, and that still stands. Let me get a drink of my coffee here. Kind of early. Let some people filter into our live chat here. But I was going over a lot of this information at about 3 a.m. this morning, and something very interesting happened yesterday. And I don't know if you guys remember me telling you that over the course of time, this has been going on now since about 2017. Little by little, all of these tools and these models that we use on the internet, well, they're all going bye-bye slowly but surely. We haven't had access to the NASA SETI website since 2017. We haven't had access to the SOHO and LASCO coronagraph website like we used to. And we still have these intermittent outages on the SEEDS website, which lo and behold, right after I had my live stream the other day, well, bingo, that went down, no data. But yesterday, for the first time, I've seen the Solar Dynamics Observatory website go down. And that's the website that we refer to as the SDO. And that gives us a full view of the sun in many different angstroms of ultraviolet light. Normally, you'll see me show that when we're looking at sunspots and coronal holes. But yesterday, I went to check it out, and let me show you what I got. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys, make sure it's sharing, okay. And we'll click right on it, and bingo. That's what I got. It says that your connection is not private, but my connection is private. And I started digging into this because this really doesn't make any sense. This has happened to me many, many times before. So I looked over here and, I was trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And if I go up here and you click on not secure, and it says that their security certificate is invalid. And lo and behold, on the 7th of January, it expired. Now, I just don't get it. That is a NASA Space Agency government website. How in the hell do they not know that they had to renew their certificate information? And why wouldn't you have that on automatic renewal? I mean, I have it on both of my websites, therefore I don't have to worry about it. Or, was it possibly done on purpose? Seems kind of funny, doesn't it? All of these things going on around the world, and all of these things going on in space, with our sun, with our, our magnetic field here on Earth, earthquakes, volcanoes, fires. I mean, hell, what's next? They take down the internet? Yeah. But yeah, that's the case with the Solar Dynamics Observatory's website. But here's the kicker. Let me show you this. So if we open up a new tab, and you guys all saw that we can't go to the SDO's main website. But let's look at this. This is another website. And these are the latest SDO and AIA images, all in real time. Well, let's click on one of these, and let's see if the real-time data actually shows up. And what is today? Today's the 9th. Okay, let's click this this autoplay, and here's the date up here. So, oh, well, look at that. The information is actually still coming through, but on another website that is not run by NASA and the Solar Dynamics Observatory. But how in the hell is it coming through? And the information is current. So I just showed you guys that their security certificate expired on the 7th. Yesterday was the 8th, and today is the 9th. So that government website is not in operation at all, but the data is still being fed to another website. I don't know, folks. You know, you got me. I've been talking about this for a long time. You know, people, I don't know, some people believe me, some people don't believe me. When I tell you that there is heavy censorship going on with certain YouTube channels and Facebook pages, believe me, it is happening on all ends of the spectrum. So, you know, now we don't have access to that data, but, you know, I kind of like to have a lot of backups. One thing that is kind of strange is at the beginning of 2019, a lot of the university websites that I've been using for years, there's probably a little over a dozen of them. Well, they're all gone. I don't know if they shut their programs down. I don't know what they've done. But again, the more we peer into space and our solar system, it just seems the more of these tools they take away. I just don't get it. Well, actually, I do get it. I know exactly what the hell they're doing. But anyways, I wanted to point that out to you guys because late yesterday, I had a lot of people that, that follow the SDO, and they've learned how to use it through watching my videos and following me on Facebook. I was getting inbox message after inbox message. I mean, they were just flying in left and right. And I should have put a public post up on the Planet X News Facebook page, but actually I didn't. I got enthralled in a local political issue that I'm helping a friend out with here in my neck of the woods. And that's a whole nother story. But yeah, it seems that SDO security certificate has expired. You can't even send them an email because you can't get the damn email from the website because the website is broken. But anyways, that's that. Over the course of the last couple of days, I'm sure if you guys are following me on Facebook and videos and things of that nature, you've seen that there have been several major earthquakes, magnitude above magnitude 6, 6.2, 6.4. I believe there was a 6.3 in the very northern regions of Russia. And again, folks, it is that time of the month, and we're going to be expecting things like this. Well, for as long as each and every one of us are breathing on this earth, and our kids, this is the way that Earth is going to be. And if you live in these communities where you have volcanoes and you have earthquakes and seismic activity, I think you should be pretty prepared for this, or move. And not everybody can do that, but things are going to be like this twice a month, every single month that goes by. The reason being is because of this 28-day orbital pattern that this main object, this Planet X object as we call it, I discussed a lot of that information in my last live stream. And hey, I want to apologize. I didn't realize that my last live stream was over 3 hours. But, when I get a couple cups of coffee in me and a small Red Bull, well, I could probably do an 8-hour live stream. But anywho, I want to touch base on what's happening in Puerto Rico right now. Bad situation in Puerto Rico. I actually have some friends that live in Puerto Rico. Well, naturally they're Puerto Ricans. And I used to do a lot of business in Puerto Rico back in my early career, back in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I wasn't able to get through for quite a while. I actually got a hold of one good friend of mine, Rodrigo, and I got a hold of him on his cell phone. And he said, Scott, it is really, really bad over here. He said that earthquake did a lot of damage. Estimates right now, I believe, are approximately 700,000 people without power. So that kind of goes back to Hurricane Michael. When Hurricane Michael impacted Puerto Rico, they got big problems, man. Big problems. We're going to see if we can catch a few new photographs on Twitter. And the reason why I'm not, I reviewed some of the information on Twitter earlier, but the reason why I didn't copy the pictures is because people nowadays are just becoming so evil. If you use a picture of theirs in a news report or something like that, I don't know, you end up getting these copyright strikes, these content ID strikes from YouTube, and it's absolutely ridiculous. People don't understand that, hey, just because you take a photograph of something and you post it on Facebook doesn't give you actual copyright privileges. If you actually want to copyright something, it costs you $55 per photograph, per video. So it's pretty much impossible to do that unless you have some type of a blanket policy and copyright provisions. But it's the boob tube, and Facebook is the same way, Twitter is the same way, and that's the way they operate. But we're going to take a look at Twitter. We're going to pull up some information from Puerto Rico and check that out. But there was another coronal mass ejection. And me and Mark were talking about it, Mark from over at Wages World. And I was kind of expecting a little bit more activity after that initial coronal mass ejection occurred. And I showed all of you guys in that long live stream the other day. And lo and behold, just further up on the sun from where the initial coronal mass ejection occurred, there was another one. So it looks like between the 11th, 12th, 13th, possibly even leading into the 14th of the month, we're going to see a lot of geomagnetic unrest. And these impacts, folks, they're going to be direct hits on the Earth. So that means that the probability of severe earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, they're probably going to be extended, probably well past the 15th and 16th of the month. But we'll see. We're working with computerized generated models We don't get to see the real juicy stuff that the boys in blue at NASA get to see, and the people at NOAA. NOAA's not too bad, you know, but NASA, yeah, they suck. Anyhow, let's take a look here. I have some things already set up, and I was looking at this earlier, and Mark was already on this. I've been up since 1:30 in the morning because I kind of had a feeling that this was all going to happen. But I really wasn't expecting it till at least tomorrow. But we're going to bring up the magnetopause model real quick. I'm going to go ahead and blow this up. And this is our magnetopause model. This is a side view of the Earth. So, for instance, if you were out in space and you were, parallel to the Earth from the side, this is what you would be looking at. And that squiggly white line that you see distorting right there, that is placed into the model to signify, excuse me, that's to signify the actual bow shock is what it's called. And that is our protection between the sun's solar wind and the Earth. And when the solar wind comes in and all those heavily charged particles, and folks, they're radioactive. I mean, we have a lot of radiation coming in from the sun. So those particles are supposed to kind of bounce off of or trail upward and downward, like you had a shield. And that's why they call it our magnetic field or our magnetic shield. But it is referred to as a bow shock or bow shock. And you can see when these particles are coming in from the sun and other magnetic field sources, such as this Planet X object and its little buddies, we start to see these contortions and these impacts. And that's not good. That's not good because that is showing us that the Earth's magnetic field is trying to fight back a very, very heavy stream of these charged particles, but they are making their way through. When they make their way through, they impact the Earth. They get right through our atmosphere. And this is one of the main sources of aurora. And as of lately, the aurora in the northern hemisphere has been just absolutely spectacular. A lot of people think that, yes, it's very beautiful, and it is pretty freaky to see. There are a few Facebook pages that I follow that are actually up in the northern tiers of Sweden, Norway, and Finland. And they're kind of recreational places where you can go and rent these kind of strange looking cabins. They have a slanted roof on them, and that slanted roof is all glass. So no matter what time of day it is up there in that part of the world, it's kind of relatively dark for like 6 months, like Alaska. So as you're laying in your little cabin bed, you're looking up through that big, gigantic skylight, and what do you see? You see this blazing aurora all day, all night. And a lot of people from Norway and Sweden, they go up there and they check it out. And it does look very, very beautiful. But these aurora now, wow. They are really, really extending more and more and more and more southward. And that is showing us the intensity of these geomagnetic storms. I really wouldn't consider this to be a geomagnetic storm just yet. And these contortions that you see on the magnetopause model right now, trust me, They are going to get much worse over the next 4 days. And, you'll hear from me. We'll be reviewing this. And for a lot of you that don't know much about this will be a good learning experience. And this will give you the terminology to understand what is happening and why it is happening. But whenever you see that white line, which represents the bow shock, whenever you see it contorting like that, that's a telltale sign that the Earth is being bombarded by these heavily charged particles, and it's also being affected by another magnetic field, hence the sun and this other Planet X object, mainly that large one. I did show all of you in my last live stream a few days ago, during the coronal mass ejection on December 30th, at the end of the year 2019. Once again, for one of the first times, I was able to capture two of these objects right next to each other. And that's very rare. It's only been one other time, I think it was in either April of 2019 or 18. I'd have to go back and pull the photograph and show it to you guys. And I meant to do it during my last live stream, but I just completely forgot. But you can see what's happening here on the magnetopause. Doesn't look good. Let's check out the solar wind here. And again, for a lot of the newcomers, when I talk about solar wind, we're not referring to an actual wind like you walk outside here on Earth and you have a breeze blowing through your beautiful long flowing hair. No, the solar wind is referring to that heavily streamed, the heavily charged particles streaming directly out from the sun, coming towards the Earth. That is the label and the name that they gave it, so it is considered a solar wind. On this model, once again, this is also a side view of the Earth. The little white circle, the little white and black circle you see in the center represents the daytime and nighttime side of the Earth. Naturally, the white side is facing the sun. The arrows signify the strength and the speed of that solar wind, because that solar wind changes speed. Sometimes it could be very, very intense. 1, 2, 3, 4 million miles per hour. Over here in this section, I hope you guys can see. I think my picture in pictures covering it up. But it has the solar wind speed, and that is clocked in at kilometers per second. But in all reality, it's been very, very slow. So that solar wind really hasn't made its way towards us yet completely, and I'll show you. And the effects of that coronal mass ejection has not made its way here yet. But it will be here by tomorrow. We'll start to see the beginning phases of it. Everybody can go, about doing their day-to-day business. You could walk outside and you won't know the difference whether we are having these effects or not. But you will know the effects soon after if you live in a seismic area where you do have earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and things of that nature. So that's what this induces. Also, solar radiation levels are also very, very high. And people ask and talk about chemtrailing all the time. And that is one of the main uses for this chemtrailing. And that is to deflect a lot of this radiation back out into space. But trust me, folks, it doesn't do that good of a job where it protects us here on Earth. And all of that chemtrailing does nothing more than trap that heat here from the upper atmosphere. It traps all of the heat between the Earth's surface and the upper atmosphere. And that is also one of the main causes of this so-called climate change. See, they're not going to just come out there and say, yeah, sorry, the world governments are actually causing this climate change. But folks, when you trap all of that heat in, well, what are you going to get? When you get evaporation from the Earth's oceans, it's moving upward, it's hitting higher heat levels, and bingo, that's why we're getting crazy storms. That's why you see Australia burning down to the ground. They're saying that a lot of that was arson, but even if it was arson with the Australian fires, all of their trees, everything in those areas of that country were bone dry. And on top of that, the chemical compositions that are in a lot of these chemtrails have aluminum chaff in it. And I don't know if you guys realize that if you've ever monkeyed around with ground up aluminum powder, take a little bit of aluminum powder, pour it on the ground, and throw a match in it and see what happens. It's the same thing as coal dust. Coal dust, highly flammable. Aluminum powder, very volatile. So as the days and the weeks and the months go by, and they're chemtrailing the living hell out of wherever, all of that residue is laying on the roofs of houses and laying on the leaves of trees and plants. And that toxicity definitely has the ability to start to dry out and kill plant life. And then you have a lightning strike, or a campfire that somebody didn't put out, or an arsonist. And then what happens? All of that vegetation is now even more flammable than it was before because of that coating everywhere. And it's terrible, absolutely terrible. And what's happening in Australia is just a travesty. They just issued another warning. And they're telling people in these certain areas to get out now. Do not play around. And it's a shame, all of the loss of life of all of those animals. I can't even watch the video clips anymore because, I'm a nature and an animal lover, and that just breaks my heart. It just, it's terrible. And then you see the video reports of the people themselves, crying and in complete despair. And, we've seen that over and over again with the catastrophic earthquakes, the volcanoes, the hurricanes. I mean, it's just nonstop anymore, folks. It's never going to end, not in our lifetimes. But it is what it is. And I feel the more we know about it, the better we can deal with it. Some people can't. I deal with it on a day-to-day basis for all of these years. Some days it does get to me, and I just want to walk away. I don't want to do this anymore, I get choked up, believe it or not, as tough as I may seem to be sometimes. Some of it gets me choked up, but it's very sad. But getting back to the solar wind model, right now, things seem to be relatively moderate. But these things are going to change over the next, I'd say, 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of here. I'm going to show you guys the magnetosphere model. And this is going to show you the actual magnetic field of the Earth and how it's being impacted. One other thing I wanted to mention before it slips my mind. How many of you out there are having breathing problems? You know, like when you go outside for 30 minutes or an hour, or even if you're working outside, man, I'll tell you what. I keep calling it my allergies, but there's nothing out there right now for me to be allergic to. All of the trees are denuded. They don't have any leaves on them. There's no grass growing. I'm not cutting grass. There's no flowers blooming. But every time I go outside and I come back in, man, I can't breathe. I can absolutely not breathe through my nose. I mean, it's terrible. I know a lot of other people have been complaining about the same thing. Respiratory issues. Where are they coming from? 99.9% of the time, folks, it's probably that shit they're spraying in the sky. And you kind of feel helpless that there's nothing that we could do about it, you know? I don't know. But yeah, these respiratory issues are horrible. Getting back to the magnetosphere model here, this is actually pretty normal looking for right now. I explained this in my last live stream. You see those black lines? They're supposed to be flowing behind the Earth. Remember, this is a side view. So the top, right up here, would be the North Pole. Right down here below would be the South Pole. And that is how the magnetic field forms around the Earth, from the bottom and the top. That's why we have the aurora in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. The top of the axis, the bottom of the axis, is because those are actually weak points in the Earth's magnetic field. A little confusing, but that is the way that it is. If it wasn't situated like that, we would have aurora all around the Earth, and it would be like we were living in or living on some strange freaking planet. Because once you're up there in the higher tiers of, Alaska and northern Canada, yeah, it's looking pretty freaky up there for those folks, because they get to see all of those swirling green and blue aurora in the sky, and it does look pretty wild looking. But what we're seeing right here, right now, on the magnetosphere model is relatively normal. You see all of the black polar cap lines flowing behind it, the density behind it in all of this blue, the plasma sheath, relatively low density. However, you do see this red arch. You can see, and I'll just use the terminology again, inflamed, because when something turns red, it's burning or it's inflamed. And you could see that bow shock is now starting to light up periodically. And that is because these pulses are coming through. And I'm just going to cut to the chase here real quick for those of you that watch Pastor Paul Begley and Mike from Around the World when he has that guy on his program. I don't believe anything that Mike from Around the World says. He's a fictional character, and he's always talking about the 5 waves of energy. Well, shit, folks. I've been on YouTube now for years and years and years, and I've been showing people this just about every single month, or every video pretty much that I put out live stream wise. That's been years. So how in the hell can there be only 5 waves of energy? You see what I'm saying? Capiche? There's no such thing as Mike from Around the World's 5 waves of energy. That's nonsense. Complete nonsense. Hey, and if I offend somebody for telling the truth, sorry. But our 5 waves of energy, this is all coming from the sun, and this is all being produced with the magnetic field interaction between the Earth, the sun, and that monster we call Planet X. I don't believe that the other small objects that are orbiting with that main object, I don't know what they are. I don't know if they could be planets. I don't know if they could be brown dwarf stars. I don't know if they could be, they're definitely not red dwarfs or white dwarfs. I don't know if they could be moons of some kind. I don't know what they're made up of, and neither does anybody else, folks. So let's just get that out there. We don't know what those other smaller objects are. And they're probably, I would say, probably pretty close to the size of Venus, possibly even Neptune. It's really hard to say because we never really get to see those other smaller objects. So that's just kind of pure speculation. But that bigger object, woo, the big main object is definitely at least 5 times the size of Jupiter, if not bigger. It's just very, very hard to judge that size, with the tools that we have. But what you're seeing right now is going to get a lot worse. So we're almost kind of at normal situation here, but it is not going to last. And it is going to be pretty interesting to see what actually occurs. I'm going to bring up this electron radiation belt model real quick. And we're going to take a look at this. I'm going to go ahead and start it from the very beginning. And this goes back to the 7th. And I'm going to just stop it here real quick for there. If there's some new people in here, dotted line, that represents the satellite belt where some of the satellites rotate and orbit around the Earth. Naturally, you have the daytime and nighttime side of the Earth. Again, we're looking at it in the model from a parallel side view. Naturally, the white side is facing the sun. This black line here represents that bow shock that I just referred to. So let's go ahead and let this thing roll. Whenever you start to see the satellite belt illuminating in red, that means a heavy influx of electrons, and these other heavily charged particles are now making their way through and around that bow shock. So let me show you how they come in. See, you may see things wrapping around and coming from the back side. And people kind of confuse other folks that are viewing videos, and they're constantly telling you guys that there's something behind the Earth, that Nibiru or Planet X is behind the Earth somewhere. See, that's not true. That is completely not true. Because of turbulence, yes, the same kind of turbulence that you would see coming off of the wings of a jet airplane. That turbulence, when that solar wind starts to impact the front of the bow shock, the turbulence wraps it around. Now remember, that bow shock is just an arch. It's not a full circle. Okay? So it's just an arch. So as that solar wind hits that arch, it's literally wrapping around. And that turbulence brings it back in towards the nighttime side of the Earth. This potentially leads to catastrophic earthquakes happening at nighttime. And if you kind of go back in time and you look at these catastrophic earthquakes When do they happen? Exactly. They happen at night. And all of that, all of those electrons, protons, all of those heavily charged particles, some do make it through, but those ones that make it through the front face are impeded temporarily. Those heavily charged particles that sweep around within that turbulence, they're unimpeded. And that's why we see those earthquakes, those big earthquakes, happening at nighttime. And then, when you wake up and you see, oh my goodness, there was a large earthquake, what do you see first? First thing you see is it was nighttime. It was 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. People were in bed. And that's what happened. So a lot of other folks that try to show you this type of stuff, look, I don't know if it's that maybe they don't know what they're talking about. Maybe they failed science class. Maybe they don't know enough about the Earth's magnetic field and how all of this works. But there's nothing behind the Earth, folks. There's no other object out there by the moon. That's a complete lie. When you see this type of situation, it is because those particles are bouncing off the front of the bow shock. They're getting wrapped around top and bottom, and that turbulence brings it back around. And that's one of the main reasons why, if you look at the solar wind model, and I'll show you guys here real quick. You see those little arrows? See these arrows right here? How they're pushing backwards? That's the turbulence that I'm talking about. You see right here, all of these arrows? They're being sucked back in. And then because of the rotation of the Earth, it all starts to get caught in the Earth's rotation, and those heavily charged particles start spinning with the entire Earth, and that's why you see this red illuminated area right here around Earth. That's the same thing that we just looked at on the electron radiation model, the one I just showed you guys. And you see the electrons rolling back through and rolling back around the Earth. And that's going from the south to the north, from the south to the north, and right out the backside. So that's why we get those aurora in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Quick science lesson. Yeah, so it's not looking too good. We're definitely going to be looking at some activity here. I don't think it's going to be good. We may see some pretty bad earthquakes. It's just a fact. This model here, real quick, this shows us the coronal hole openings that we may not see on some of the other SDO models, even though this is using the Solar Dynamics Observatory model. And where you see these blue cutout lines right here, and you'll see a red one flash. These blue ones, those are kind of steady coronal holes. But then you see the ones flashing in red. Those ones you see flashing in red, those are coronal holes that are opening and then closing and kind of moving on. So you can see the timeline right down here. January 6th, 7th. So some of the solar wind may be coming from this coronal hole, maybe that small one, and you had we had this one right here. So some of that solar wind is coming from here. But these were very, very short-lived coronal holes. So that's one of the main reasons why that solar wind is at a low speed. Now, we're going to jump out of here. And we're going to jump over here to the... we're going to jump over here to NOAA. And this is the same thing. This is one of their newer models. This is a magnetosphere model. This is measuring the pressure on the Earth. Okay? And that is a crushing pressure. Same thing applies like the other models. Whenever we see these red illuminated areas right around here and right around the satellite belt, you'll see these things change. But do you see here on the back side? Do you see how that gets illuminated faster than the front part? And the front part would be facing the sun. However, we have the bow shock in front of the Earth. Remember, that turbulence is wrapping around, so therefore it's going to hit the nighttime side of the Earth heavier. And that will induce those earthquakes at nighttime. So we'll be keeping an eye on that really close. You can see it's as you look at the date pattern here. Where's the date? Oh, right up here. Sorry. Here's the date and the clock in universal time. You could see the scale right here. Naturally, red is no damn good. And this is the situation that we're in right now. I would not be surprised, today. I mean, we've already had a magnitude 6.3 in Russia. Was pretty heavy duty earthquake. Hopefully, it's not in a very populated area where it occurred. But I think we're probably going to see a lot more seismic activity. It may start rolling in even heavier today, but definitely tomorrow and for the next 5 days, we'll be talking about this, no doubt. I'm going to roll up here real quick. This is same kind of model, but this measures the density, and this measures the density of these waves coming in. You can see up here on the scale, if you follow my cursor, see way up here where the triangle is, dark blue. Watch over here. Watch over here. That dark blue is the heavy density of that pathway of charged particles. You can see it's very dense. And when we get into these situations like this, folks, to me, that's a telltale sign that this is more than just your regular, everyday, run-of-the-mill solar wind impacting the Earth. This is telling me that there's another magnetic field other than the sun that is inducing this. And this doesn't happen all month long. This happens in the beginning of the month and at the end of the month during the Planet X 28-day orbit. It's a fact. I've been charting this and noting this down for 3 years now. And it's not failed me once. But I don't see anybody else, any of these other Planet X or Nibiru channels that, copy off of what I do. I don't see them grasping a hold of the true data and the true evidence. And I think the reason why is because it upsets their apple cart and it shows to all of their subscribers that for all of the time that you've been watching them, They didn't know what the hell they were talking about. This is the velocity. Velocity is the speed. And you could see, if we look over here into this section, right here in front of the bow shock, we're at about right here between this color and this color, which would mean the speed would be approximately 400 to 500 kilometers per second. Moderate, very moderate. Whenever you see the solar wind impacting the Earth over 800 kilometers per second, yeah, that's bad. That's bad. That's going to break right through the front bow shock, as we call it. A lot of that's going to get through. And again, you know, those particles, folks, you have to understand something. Those little teeny tiny little particles are bad mother effers, man. Let me tell you. Because if you know anything about particles and molecules and atoms and all that good juicy stuff, that boring science, those little bastards are hell. Because there's trillions of them. And they're moving in high speeds and they're bouncing off of each other. They do have the ability to make their way all the way through the Earth's crust, all the way through into the mantle, all the way through down to the core of the Earth. And once they get down in there, well, you know, that causes disturbances. So one good analogy that I could use for you guys is just take a regular kid's balloon and blow the balloon up. And your oxygen, your air that you're blowing into the balloon is the charged particles. So you're blowing those charged particles into the molten core of the Earth. What are you doing? You're increasing the internal pressure. Well, when you get to a certain extent, that pressure has nowhere to go but upward and outward. And whenever that happens, what do we get? We get volcanoes going off like crazy, which they're already doing now. And then, with all of the tectonic plates on the Earth, that's causing increased pressure on those tectonic plates, and they're floating like the Earth's crust is floating on the mantle. It's not fastened to the mantle, it's literally floating. So that's why we end up getting the tectonic plates are wanting to move, or they're wanting to slide because of that pressure, and also other seismic devices within the Earth. But whenever we start to see these big earthquakes, they just don't happen. They're induced. If the sun did not put off all of the solar wind, earthquakes here on Earth would be very rare. Very rare. Every now and then, you would have a plate bumped up against another plate, and they would start to bend, and then boom. Okay, that's kind of normal seismic activity. But what we've been seeing for, the last 5-6 years is a steady increase in internal pressure within the Earth. And that's just not my view. Those are views coming from real mainstream scientists that study this. And they have said that these are some of the dangerous mechanics of earthquakes. And soon, sometime in the near future, there are very, very high possibilities that we may start to see earthquakes in areas that they normally don't occur. Will we live to see that? I don't know. I hope not. But it is on the horizon. That much you can guarantee. Okay, now that I've bored you guys enough with all of that, we're going to take a look at the earthquake map, and let's see what's brewing out there. And then we're going to go to Twitter. Now here was that earthquake way up here in Russia. And a few more little aftershocks already occurred. So that was a magnitude 6.3. Very, very shallow. Depth, probably less than 10 kilometers. But then you see there was some aftershocks, some other earthquakes going on. 5 here, 4.8, 4, 4.7. The situation, oh, this is a doozy. Yeah. Magnitude 4.9. Right in the middle of the mid-Atlantic. There's a mid-Atlantic fault right through here. Big crack that goes all the way up through here. Every now and then we get an earthquake right in the middle of the Atlantic. Very, very shallow. I doubt if anybody even felt that. Situation in Puerto Rico, still very, very disturbing. The quakes are still going off left and right. We're going to take a look at the my other program that will show us all of the earthquakes. You could start to see a steady pattern right here with these past earthquakes. These are all over the last couple of hours. And you can see they're all following along that real deep trench that is right off of the coast of Puerto Rico. Now they're starting to move inland. And when I was talking to Rodrigo, he told me that people were so scared over the last couple of days after that big earthquake. He said people were so scared they did not want to sleep in their houses, that they were sleeping outside in chairs, like chase lounges and like, you know, the little chairs you take to the beach and stuff like that, or sleeping on the ground. They did not want to be inside of their homes because that earthquake was pretty bad. And even though that earthquake was not directly on land, that had enough amplitude to really, really cause a lot of destruction. 700,000 people without power. And, you know, man, there's not much you could do without power. You need a generator. You can't operate tools unless you have battery-operated tools. And the batteries die, so how do you charge them? Gasoline pumps aren't going to work because they have to have electricity. So you can't get gas to fuel any kind of cutaway tools that use a gas-powered motor. Then when the fuel runs out of your generators, what do? So it's become a very bleak situation in Puerto Rico. But we're going to take a quick look at the my one Google Earth model here that lists all the earthquakes. Let's take a look at Puerto Rico. My God. Now, if you look at the scale over here, this will show you all of the earthquakes in yellow are within the past week. All of the ones in orange are within the past day. And anything in red would be within the past hour. So that right there, folks, that is starting to look like the Ridgecrest, California debacle that happened last year in California. And that big earthquake out there, well, there's two big earthquakes that rattled that area of California. That actually led to over 12 or 13,000 earthquakes. That is crazy. I mean, just lowering that down to 3,000 earthquakes would seem insane. But 12 to 13,000? Could you imagine living in and around the Ridgecrest, California area? You wouldn't have any dishes or glasses left. All your pictures, I wouldn't even put them back up on the wall. I would move. I would not go through that. I would move. But this is the current situation in Puerto Rico, and it looks grim. This is the trench area right through here. This is what I was referring to. And you can see a lot of these earthquakes are generating at the base, right here. And they're moving inland. Here's a broader look at it here. And it's a big, big, big chunk of rock right there. I know there was an earthquake off of one of these Virgin Islands. Where was that? Oh, here's one of the islands. Dominica. Here's a fresh earthquake here within the past day. That was yesterday, a 5.1. That was right off of their coast also. And those are shallow waters. Yeah. That looks kind of weird, doesn't it? A perfect square. Well, that's kind of unusual. That's the first time I ever noticed that. You guys see that? Holy hell, that looks like it's man-made, don't it? Look at that. Boy, that's weird. I never noticed that. Boy, you could see that even from far away. Yeah, it's a shame. Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti, they sit on a very, very volatile zone right there on the Earth's crust. And, many, many years ago, we know what happened in Haiti. Ooh, that just caused some massive, massive destruction. Boy, but that square area there, that's really unusual. I never noticed that. Let's roll over here to California. You see right here all of the little yellow dots right here. Those were all within the past week. Those are all traveling directly down the San Andreas Fault. Now, let's look over to this area. Whoa. Oh, lo and behold, here's Ridgecrest. So, the situation out there in Ridgecrest, California, and I think those earthquakes happened back in, June or July? That still hasn't stopped. Here's a fresh earthquake right here. Looks a little larger. Magnitude 3.5. You can guarantee somebody felt that. Here's a fresh one that just happened, small 1.6. But the situation in Ridgecrest, it has not stopped. And what seismologists were talking about not too long ago, and it was all over the news, is they were talking about that Gerlach fault that runs this way. There's another fault line that runs, and it runs directly into the San Andreas fault. And it's a small fault, but it's a dangerous fault. And they were talking about more activity on the Gerlach fault affecting the San Andreas fault. And it would turn into a living hell for the region, all of this region. That would include Los Angeles, California, if a major quake hit on that Gerlach fault. They were predicting an earthquake over a magnitude 7. A magnitude 7 would rock LA if it occurred on the Gerlach fault. Where's that damn measuring tool? Let's see how far that is. We'll just draw a line from here to LA area. Okay, that's about 85 miles, or it could be even less. So we know how the earthquake expands out with the rumbling. So I've been keeping an eye on this area, but I haven't heard anything for the last, I would say 2 months pertaining to that Gerlach fault area. Doesn't seem to be too much activity brewing over there, but you never know. You never know. With what's incoming right now, we may see something extreme. I want to take you guys back to NOAA real quick, and we're going to take a look at the predictor model for that incoming. And we'll bring this bad boy up. Let's get this party started. Okay, I'm just going to use the slider myself. Again, for any newcomers, right here on the spiral graph, in the center, you have the sun. You have the Earth right here in green. These spirals that you see, that represents as the sun rotates, that is the solar wind. Also, we will see the beginning phases of that coronal mass ejection that occurred the other day. And don't forget, I still have the secondary coronal mass ejection that I'm going to show you guys. And that's going to be coming behind all of this, even though it was kind of off a little bit in another direction, it's still going to affect the Earth. So watch the pattern right here where my cursor is. Here's the Earth right here. As I move it out, we're at the 10th, which is tomorrow. Here's the 11th. Now, in my live stream the other day, the coronal mass ejection tracker model was showing that the beginning phases of this impact was going to be on the 11th, and then an impact from solar wind on the 12th. And that solar wind is going to be very slow. So it's actually going to impact the Earth harder because it's going to be slower, meaning it's just going to stick around a lot longer, which is not good. Not good at all. So this model here from NOAA, sometimes it's a little off because it is a prediction model. And that is exactly what it's doing. It's predicting what will happen. So as we move to the 12th, and you can see this yellow line here, that's the calendar. You can see on the 12th, that swath right there, it is pretty damn close to the Earth. Move to pretty close to the 13th of the month in about 4 days, it's right on us. And by a quarter, I'd say, by a quarter of the way through the 13th of January, we are going to be completely engulfed in that solar wind and the remnants of that coronal mass ejection that occurred days before. So, like I said in my past live stream, folks, that's going to be that 1-2 punch. We're going to get the coronal mass ejection first. We're going to get the solar wind following right behind it. Now, this model's carrying it out a few days into the future. Meaning, again, this model is predicting those dates. So this can fluctuate a day earlier or a day later, but somewhere in between. So we could see right there, right off the bat. And then you see this hot area right there. And that's what I'm worried about. See, right there. Right there, you could see that it starts to illuminate red. Normally, because of the distance between the Earth and the sun, it's very rare that when we get hit by that solar wind, that it is heating up. Heating up in the sense that those charged particles are, I'll just use the terminology, heating up. But very rarely do we see those impacts like that, and that area right there is red. Usually it's this soft aqua blue color or green. And that's showing us right here. If you look over here, that's showing us the plasma density. And on that scale, that is showing us the density, and you could see it's just about orangish red. That's going to put us in the upper tier of that scale. So that means, let's move it forward just a little bit more. And it goes all the way out to halfway between the 14th and the 15th. Then the model ends for now. It updates about every 24 hours. So that right there looks like it's going to be a glancing blow. But even though that's going to be a glancing blow, as the predictor model shows, that little swath right there can move further down. It could move away. It more or less has the potential to move away because of the sun's rotation. So just its momentum will take it off a little bit further. But even if that happens, the further away that these heavily charged particles go, the wider it starts to become. And when I said that the Earth is kind of in a good place when that happens, all too many times when we see these patterns past the Earth, they illuminate. And when I mean illuminate, I don't mean shine. I mean they illuminate right here on this scale. And you'll see the center part, which I was referring to right here in the orangish red, they'll turn literally white. Yeah. So if the Earth was, for instance, where Mars is, and we would get hit with that heavier density of plasma coming from the sun, it would be a bad damn day every day here on Earth. So, I don't know, whoever the hell put the Earth where it's at thought it out very well because we are truly in a beautiful Goldilocks zone, without having the Earth completely destroyed. And that is a very high possibility of what may have happened to Mars in the past. Getting hit with one of these massive waves like this constantly, and that plasma density, getting stronger as it passed by, and boom, that would be enough to strip the atmosphere directly away from Mars, or damage it quite a bit. Damage it constantly to the point where it was no longer. So this is what we're going to be looking at. And I'll just slide it back, and you can see it coming in. Now you see this swath right here? This was between the 7th and the 8th. And that just passed right over top of the Earth. Right over top. What happened? We had a multitude in one day, 3 magnitude 6 earthquakes. One of them rocked Puerto Rico. One of them rocked Indonesia. So there you go. If anybody tells you that this science that we're talking about right now is complete BS, tell them to prove it to you, because we have the evidence and we know that this is one of the main reasons for these large earthquakes. So let's take a look at it, and you'll see it coming. And boom. And that is between the 14th and the 15th. And again, remember, this model can be slightly off. According to the CME tracker model, which I'll bring up right now, I think this might be a little off. Let me just decrease that just a bit. So here's the CME tracker. I think that the CME tracker is actually more accurate. And again, for any newcomers, the white dot right here in the center of the spirograph is the sun. The yellow dot right here represents the Earth. And again, same thing applies with the spirals. That is going with the motion and the rotation of the sun. You can see right there. This one doesn't have a slider. I can't stop it unless I record it and use my video software. But you can see the date right up here. So if your eyes are quick, you'll see that that impact from that coronal mass ejection is just about on the 11th. And then following right behind it in the spiral, the spirals represent the solar wind. The outburst that you see there, that represents that coronal mass ejection. So that's why I like using this model a little bit more than the NOAA prediction model, because this actually lets us see from a top view of what's happening. So that's what we're looking at there, folks. Yeah. I'm looking at the time also. Yeah, so it kind of coincides pretty much with the other model, but we're definitely going to be in that. The Earth is definitely going to feel the exposure to this all the way up to about the 15th. But from the 15th, probably through 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, the potential for more damaging earthquakes is definitely in the picture. Because it takes several days for those particles penetrating to the Earth's core to really start to take effect. That doesn't happen instantaneously. They do slow down as they're moving through the Earth's crust, mantle, and into the core. Just getting into the mantle region of the Earth is what can start to cause and induce these earthquakes. And I believe so that we will definitely start to see a lot of activity. It could possibly start halfway through today, leading into tomorrow. We will definitely see. I'm going to be watching this very, very, very closely. I'm going to bring up all that the video that I have for you guys. Let me pull this up real quick. I recorded these coronal mass ejections, this coronal mass ejection, yesterday. And this is coming off the cactus. Now, this is different from what I showed you guys the other day. This is actually another coronal mass ejection. Now, I'm going to let this play through while I take a few sips of my coffee real quick. I can't breathe. You'll see it here on the C3 coronagraph. This is a farther away view. This satellite is approximately 1 million miles away from Earth, between the Earth and the Sun. This is the C2, same location, same spacecraft, just zoomed in. And you can see that one is shot off into space. And that's looking at the sun straight on. And that coronal mass ejection there came from a different location than the one I showed you guys the other day. So we won't feel a direct impact from that. But remember, the further away these coronal mass ejections go, they start to spread out a little bit. For all you guys out there that like to hunt, or you ladies that like to hunt, and if you've used a shotgun with bird shot in it, as soon as you fire it, all those BBs start coming out, and then pew, they scatter. Same thing applies with what we're looking at here. For some reason, this coronal mass ejection looks very, very, very concentrated. And it looks like it's at a pretty damn high speed. And it happened very, very quick. Usually coronal mass ejections, as they start to expand outward, they're really not moving, boom, like a gunshot. They start to flow outward. And that coronal mass ejection could take hours and hours and hours and hours to completely form and expand outward. This one here, if you watch it, it pretty much on the time scale, it's just like a shot, boom, straight out into space. Yeah. Interesting. And folks, whenever you see those little white planets drifting by, no, they are not Planet X objects. I'm going to show you guys something. If you go to the Stereo website, and look, folks, all of these tools that I use, if you go to the Planet X News website, which we're at right here, and you go halfway down the page, see where it says research links? All of the links, everything is right here that I use. Even the American Meteor Society, if you guys spot a meteor, you could report it. Space weather, CME tracker, solar wind, the polar drift, all of it's right here. ISWA, SOHO and LASCO, Stereo, Core 2. All you got to do is click on it. Takes you right to it, and it actually opens it up into a new tab. But if you see something on one of these coronagraphs, like one of those little white planets drifting by, all too many times I see on Facebook people recording the coronagraph, and they'll go ahead and they'll post on Facebook, "Oh, look, I found Planet X. It's orbiting. Look, it's right there." It's not. So if you go over here and you click on that link right there that says, "Where is Stereo?" And Stereo is one of these spacecraft that has the cameras on it that we utilize. If you click on that, "Where is Stereo?" that is, where is that spacecraft right now? And it will actually give you the little diagram map right now, in real time. So here's the Earth. There's our direct view of the sun. The LASCO SOHO spacecraft is right here, out in front of the Earth, 1,000,000 miles away from the Earth, going towards the sun. Stereo A sits off to the left of the Earth. It has a different view of the sun. Stereo B, as NASA says, is out of commission. It broke down in 2014. Them damn liars. Liars they are. I think the reason why they took Stereo B out of public commission is because we would be able to get better views of the sun every day. Not just this view. We would be able to get this view, which would be very damaging tracking this object and its little buddies. Because then it would be orbiting the sun in that 28-day orbit, and we would be able to see it not twice a month, we'd be able to see it every damn week. But anyhow, anywho, and anyway, Whenever you see those little objects, those little planetoid objects, that's exactly what they are. They're planets. So if you take the view, you see that was Venus and the other was Mercury. Mercury's not on this scale right there, but you could see Venus right there. So, if we went back to that video and you saw those little white planets moving by, no, they're not Planet X objects, just simply Venus. And that's it, folks. All too many times people will just see something and they will just, just for people to like their Facebook post, they'll make up a story, man. I see it all day long on Facebook. It's pretty stupid. Pretty damn stupid. But I'm going to just jump over here real quick to the Seeds website. And remember at the beginning of this live stream, remember I was telling you guys, look at that. Right after the 5th, right after the 4th, look at that once again. Look. No data. Nothing. Nada. Same thing down here. Nothing. And if you go to the home button, click on LASCO C2 CME catalog. We used to be able to catch it on the back end. Pan all the way down, go to 2020, click on January. Oh! What do we see? Nothing. Nothing from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. No data. No data. Why would that be? Remember me telling you folks that this is the timeline. Right here. This is the timeline. When we capture this damn object. And then we get into the last part of the month. About the last 5 days of the month, we have an opportunity. Usually, it's between the 29th, 30th, and 31st of every month. We catch this object on the down scale when it's heading back through its orbit and heading downward past the ecliptic. And then we lose it for a couple of days. And those couple of days, whoop, it's swinging right back around. It's a very, very, very tight, eclectic, and eccentric orbital path. And it's not like it's strange. There are so many other stars out there that have brown dwarf stars orbiting in that same pattern. So it's nothing new to the dynamics of stars having objects such as small exoplanets or brown dwarf stars or even another star orbiting like that. So here we are again, man. They just are not putting out the data. And now, like I said, the SDO website, this is what you get right here. That's down now. So I'm sure something else will be crashing here soon. We'll see what happens. But I wanted to take a look at Twitter. Take a look at Twitter. And let's check out what happened here in Puerto Rico. Look at this bozo over here, this Andrew Yang running for president. Look, Puerto Rico has been through too much already. We should forgive their debt and make them a state and rebuild in earnest. Well, let me refresh your memory there, Mr. Yang Bang. All of the money that we gave to Puerto Rico in all of those years past, all of the corrupt politicians spent it all. So why the hell should we give them more billions of dollars? See, you don't give them the freaking money on pallets like Obama did with Iran, gave them, couple $1 billion wrapped up in shrink wrap on a pallet, flew the son of a bitch over there to Iran, and all they did was use the billions of dollars to kill Americans. So, Andrew Yang Bang, go back to your computer software company. You got no room in politics, bro. If you want to help Puerto Rico, you go over there and you rebuild. You hire companies to rebuild. You don't give the politicians the money. They're all corrupt. Damn. Elizabeth Warren. Oh, for Christ's sake. This woman gets on my nerves so bad. But we're just looking at her pictures. This was from NBC News. And you could see the structural damage. That's a complete freaking loss right there. Yeah. Oh, I ain't playing nothing at NBC's. Fuck them. But we'll see if we can find some things that were posted from people that actually live on the island. Oh, Nancy Pelosi. She's issued a statement on the earthquake in Puerto Rico. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you guys. Check this out. Remember in my live stream the other day, I was telling you about that beautiful rock formation that was completely destroyed by the 5.8 earthquake that happened right off the coast of Puerto Rico before the bigger 6-pointer went off. Remember I told you it broke that natural land formation bridge? Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you guys real quick. Let me bust out of here because I caught it and I videotaped, or I caught a videotaped version of it, and check it out. Here it is right here. Check it out, why don't you? What are these people bothering me for over here? Yeah, it's pretty messed up, because it makes you wonder how long did it take for, that land formation to form? It could have been there for thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. And all it took was a magnitude 5.8 to destroy it. And that's solid rock. So then you start to wonder what it does to those houses in Puerto Rico. And, a lot of them, if not most of them, are all built of concrete block and a cement finish. And a lot of them are built up on stilts. But those stilts are nothing more than concrete block columns. And I know all about that. And every time I see this type of situation with these houses that are up on these small columns, there's no reinforced rebar through the concrete block columns. So therefore, it doesn't take but mild shaking. They crack and they're top heavy and the structure starts to lean and boom, it goes down. It crashes. So that was the that was the land formation that I wanted to show you guys. And I didn't have access to it that day that I did that live stream. Oh, boy. Yeah, there's a lot of destruction in Puerto Rico, guys. There's a lot. Yeah, and this guy here on CBS News, they're talking about the what is he? The operations manager at the power plant. The last report. Oh, okay, there you go, right there. The last report that I got late last night was 700,000 people. 700,000 people in the dark. So now this was updated 1 hour ago. 900,000. So I think there's only about a million 4 or 1.5 million. I forget what the population of Puerto Rico is. Terrible situation. And you know, and now we know what happened after Hurricane Michael. Oh my God. It was like 6 months, 9 months, a year. Some people didn't have power. And now they get rocked by this big ass earthquake. And now there's almost 1 million people without power again. And from what Rodrigo was telling me, he's like, Scott, you can't believe that there are still people in the poorer communities that still have blue tarps on their roofs from Hurricane Michael. Yeah. You know what? Let me throw this out there. For all these big mouth politicians, for all these big mouth billionaire politicians that want to be president like Trump did. You got this jerk off Michael Bloomberg, the ex-mayor of New York. He's got billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. So we know you're not going to win the damn election, and you're spending $200,000 a minute on ads all over TV and the internet thinking you're going to defeat Donald Trump, and you'll probably spend $1 billion and you're going to lose. You want to do something nice, you jerk off? Take the same $1 billion, organize something to help people. Stop trying to buy an election, because it ain't going to work. Andrew Yang Bang, the guy that we just looked at in the very beginning, he's got billions of dollars. Well, instead of putting all your money into this bullshit campaign, go help the people. That's what I would do. Folks, if I had billions of dollars in the bank, like some of these people do, that's what I would be doing. I would get high off of helping those people. I would organize it, I would direct it, and I would get down in the dirt and the grit and help out that way. But no, they all want to piss their money away, make all of the advertising companies even richer than they already are for an election that they're never going to win. Because the Trump train's rolling down the tracks, baby. Full speed. You ain't stopping that train. Yeah, see, this is terrible. This is what I was saying earlier, is that the people were so scared, and a lot of them were pretty traumatized by the shaking and the destruction while they were in their houses during that earthquake, that a lot of them decided to sleep outside. And these are people whose houses weren't damaged or destroyed. They're just too damn scared to sleep inside because of the activity, the seismic activity that's occurring just off of the coast and now moving inland. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. That breaks my heart to see things like that. I may seem like a tough guy on here and I talk a lot of shit, but I do have a heart, and seeing things like that just, it eats me up inside. And then I sit and I listen to these damn billionaire politicians flapping their gums when they actually have the power, the money to go over there or wherever and make a difference. But they don't, because they're scumbags. Look at that. That's just terrible, man. What is this? Is this the power plant? Yeah, that's their power plant right there. This guy's saying this photo was just sent to me. Earthquake damage to Costa Sur power plant, southern part of Puerto Rico. Wow, nearly 1 million people without power. Wow, look at that. Oh, God. And it's another politician running for president. Amy, I eat my salad with a hair comb, Klobuchar. Yeah. This woman, one of her staffers released some information last year, said that she's a very nasty, hateful, spiteful person to work for. And the young staffer girl walked into her office one day, and because she didn't have a fork and she was too lazy to get up out of her office and go get one, the staffer caught Amy Klobuchar eating her salad with her hair comb that she took out of her purse. And last year, whenever they confronted Klobuchar about that accusation, she admitted it. I think that's disgusting. Who the hell does that? You're too freaking lazy to get up and go get a fork? Yeah, more destruction over here. Now, I love this guy right here. This guy is absolutely fantastic. He's a famous chef, and he put together an organization to go and feed people. And this guy has, he was a pretty wealthy guy. And Chefs for Puerto Rico hashtag at WC Kitchen, World Central Kitchen. And this guy's been doing this now for several years. And he literally started this out using his own money before he founded the actual foundation to accept donations and help people in need during catastrophic situations like this. Now, why can't the billionaires be like this guy? And he doesn't have billions of dollars. You folks see the difference in mankind nowadays? Sickening. Very disturbing. They all like to get on there and tweet. But you don't see any of them leaving their political campaigns to fly over to Puerto Rico with a jumbo jet full of money, do you? You don't see any of them making donations over there, do you? You see them flapping their gums, talking smack. I think there was one person that was killed. I think it was this man here. Yeah. 73 years old, sleeping. As I was saying, these earthquakes are hitting at nighttime. Magnitude 6.4. The wall collapsed in on him, and unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Here's another smack-off politician, Julian Castro. Julian Castro. Hey, just to make a little joke, this guy, Julian Castro, he wanted to be president of the United States. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? The United States of America would have a president with the last name Castro. Bad enough we had Barack Obama saying this guy didn't stand a chance. Could you imagine a White House briefing and they introduce the President of the United States, President Castro? Well, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? First thing that comes to your mind is not Julian Castro, it's Fidel Castro. Don't get me fired up about politics, folks, because I deal with the politics every single day with the USA Headline News Network. Oh, my dear God. Hundreds of earthquakes. This has been going on for 10 days now. Terrible. You know, and see, there you go. All I would have to see is, heartbreaking photographs like this. And if I was a billionaire, that's what I'd be doing, But they don't. It's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Here's our chef guy again. I'm gonna click on his. I'm gonna actually start following him. If any of you guys, I know none of us are super rich and millionaires and billionaires, but if any of you guys want to make a donation to his organization, you can click on Twitter or just Google World Central Kitchen, and his name is Chef Jose Andres. It's terrible. Yeah. And he literally brings the food and the kitchen mobile to these areas that have undergone very serious tragedies. He's got a great organization. And he's not a thief like the politicians are. And if any of you guys want to follow me on Twitter, because Twitter shadow bans me horribly, I'll put the link in the chat. Boy, what is going on there? That's like a freaking slot machine over here in the live chat. Or is it just catching up? Holy hell, I was going to see if you guys had any questions. I might have to wait till the slot machine stops rolling right there. Holy hell. You guys see that flying by, right? I was going to see if there's some questions, but I'm going to have to wait for that to slow down. There we go. Yeah, folks. So, this is where we're at right now with this current geomagnetic situation here on Mother Earth. I'm not a very religious man, but when it comes to these types of situations, best I could say, say a prayer for those folks over there in Puerto Rico and also Indonesia. They got splattered with a 6.2 or higher magnitude earthquake. There was some damage there also, but not like Puerto Rico. And if you guys do want to go to Chef Andre's website and check him out on Twitter, make a small donation. Hell, even if it's $5, $10, whatever, at least you know that is going for a very, very good cause. And look, I apologize if I was getting all political with this live stream. But folks, I deal with this politics every single day. I write all of the articles and do all of the political research for the USA Headline News, and I listen to this garbage every single day, 7 days a week, from 3 o'clock in the morning till usually 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and it really makes you wonder. I wish I could go back to the world that I lived in when I was 16, 17, 18 years old. But I know that's not reality. It's a shame. Stinking shame. And now, I was talking about the censorship. It's getting worse. Woo! Way worse. People like me and many, many others, doesn't necessarily have to do with Planet X research, but anything on the political side, anything dealing with chemtrails, the shots they give you in the arm. I can't even mention that damn word. Any type of truther network, man. They are splattering these people. And I'm right in there with them. It is a war, not even a battle, man. Not even a battle. It is an all-out war on all of our rights. Doesn't matter what country you live in. Doesn't matter what color you are. If you're striving for truth and you're trying to show the world something, forget it. You're done. It ain't going to happen. Hey, there's my girl, Dawn, Earth Angel. What's cracking? She's one of our moderators on here. Very, very fantastic person. Love her to death. But it's a shame, folks. This is a shame that this is the world that we live in. And for all of us that are parents and you have kids, I could only imagine what this world's going to be like in 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, let alone 50 years from now. I don't know. It's terrible. But anyways, folks, anybody have any quick questions for me? If you do, fire them out into the live chat. I'll try to answer your questions. Somebody's asking me to check out the Yellow Rose of Texas. I've been following her YouTube channel since 2016. Early on, Yellow Rose of Texas, her video information was very, very good. And then she kind of went off on some other spectrum. A little weird, you know. I don't know if she deleted a lot of her early videos, but yeah, I know all about the Yellow Rose of Texas, and now her videos are a little weird, you know. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what. I want to mention this to all of you real quick. And I know a lot of you don't like whenever I talk about somebody else, but it's okay for other people to talk about me and trash me and threaten me. I can handle all that. Earlier this morning, I issued a direct challenge to Dave Dobbs and Steve Olson. And if any of you follow what they do and you want to help me out, then you let them know about my direct challenge. Because I had a bunch of people, again, flooded my email and inbox on Facebook with, I guess I'll use the term irate emails and messages, not against me, but against what they're telling people related to this Dave Dobbs object. And let's just be blunt. There is no such thing as a Dave Dobbs object. The Dave Dobbs object that they have brewing in their puny little minds is nothing more than photographs and videos of illuminated contrails or illuminated chemtrails. Now, Dave Dobbs posted a video early this morning, and I was one of the first comments on his video. And I usually don't comment on any of these people's videos. But I issued the direct challenge to him and Steve Olson and his little screwball buddy that lives in the school bus, Magic Maverick Man. So they are continuing to tell all of these people and all of their subscribers that there's this thing called the Dave Dobbs object, and I don't know, it's orbiting the Earth, and they're freaking people out. But it's all fake. It's a complete hoax that they are generating for views. Olson's been doing it for years. He's been doing it since 2016, almost 5 years now. Dave Dobbs doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, and neither does the Maverick Magic Man, whatever the hell he wants to call himself. So, if they want to accept this challenge, and let's go to it. Let's put up your evidence and information against mine, and let's get down to the truth. Because that's what this is about, folks. This is about learning, me teaching all of you what I've discovered over all of these years. And not to do, not to be some like little picture show like Romper Room, but to help each and every one of you understand and accept what we're going through. Because there are so many questions that I have, and I know all of you have. But to better help you out with your own questions, you can answer your own questions by learning more. Now, I don't have all of the answers, but you can guarantee this. I've been at this now for more than 20 years of my life. I'm 51 years old now. I picked up on this when I was 20. 20 years old, going into my last year in college. I had a college professor mention Planet X in a news article. And it was a theology class that I took. He happened to be, he actually was a retired FBI agent. 20 years as a, what they call a profiler. He was also a space buff. And one day, he just brought out some news articles and a magazine article. I think it was Popular Mechanics, if I'm not mistaken. He started talking about it. He even had I don't know if any of you guys remember the overhead projectors that they used to use in classrooms. You know, you put a transparency on it and then it projects onto a screen. He had already produced these little transparency things, and he was, talking about it. We talked about it in that class for, more than, I think, over an hour and a half. And then I was so intrigued about it. I was always a space buff. I loved Earth space science. Made straight A's in it, And it's his fault. It's his fault that I got on this subject matter. But then, for a long period of time, I went through a long career. I dabbled in this periodically. Read everything I could possibly read. But, oh God, now I'm going to show my age a little bit more. But we didn't have the computers and the internet and the access to information around the whole entire World Wide Web like we do now. It was only in its beginning infancy. And now that I had more time to throw myself into this, and I started investigating chemtrails back in 2005, and I never looked back. So it's not like I just decided one day to open up a YouTube channel and do this like everybody else does. They watch a few videos from Gil Broussard or Marshall Masters or Nancy Leader or one of these other hocus pocus people that talk about Nibiru, and then all of a sudden, they're a pro. They're like the fucking expert on this. But they don't show you any observational evidence. None. Zero. They don't show you nothing. And people praise them. Oh, no. Oh. Let me ask you something. Face to face. What in the hell are some of you people doing? This is not a game. This is not a joke. I take it very seriously. For the longest period of time, there were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people around the world that were watching my information. Now I'm so censored. People in all of the other countries, they don't see any of my information anymore. And I was touching people all over the world. I don't hear from any of those people anymore because that's how blocked I am. Just take a look at the view counts on this channel. I've produced over, close to 2,200 videos, well over 22 million views in a short amount of time, a couple of years. But see, they won't let me. They won't cut me loose to tell all of the world what's happening. Why? You damn know why. It will screw up their agendas. They'll lose control. The whole population of the world would be like, what the mainstream science, down the tubes. Mainstream astronomy, down the tubes. Everybody would be after NASA saying, hey, you've been lying to us all this time. Hell, folks, there's some days when I wake up, I wonder how in the hell I'm even still alive. Because people like me, 5 years ago, they used to kill them. Ooh, suspicious accident. Watch, I'll end up dead tomorrow. Now I just had a chest pain. Shit. Yeah, folks, I can't do nothing anymore. They have they've driven everything that I've created over the last couple of years. They've driven it right into the ground. All of my Facebook pages, my websites, hell, even my t-shirt website. Oh, for God's sakes. YouTube censored my t-shirts that show up under the videos because they were Trump t-shirts. I thought that I would make a few bucks. And this is funny. This is just absolutely hilarious. I think I told you guys about this a few weeks ago, but I was one of the first YouTube channels when they integrated the t-shirt website Teespring with YouTube. I already had a Teespring t-shirt website for like 2 years. And then they did a little integration with the two companies. And now, scrolling underneath your videos, if you qualify, you could have your t-shirts, 5 or 6 of them scrolling at the bottom of all of your videos. YouTube didn't mind when I was showing Planet X News t-shirts and chemtrail t-shirts. But whenever I transferred and switched over my t-shirt website to a USA Donald Trump political t-shirt website, those bastards, they censored all of my shirts under my videos. And I didn't discover it till one day. One of my subscribers emailed me and he said, hey, where's all the shirts that usually scroll at the bottom of your videos? And I said, what do you mean? I said, I make shirts every week. I keep the designs fresh. And he says, well, I wanted to order one of those Trump shirts that you advertised on your Facebook page, but I can't find it. And I thought I would see it under one of your videos. Well, lo and behold, because you see this shirt here, this shirt here, this one here, this one here, those pukes, if you go into the merchandising section on your YouTube channel, you can pick and choose 5 of the shirts to profile under your videos. All of a sudden, I go into that section, and every single one of the Donald Trump or Drain the Swamp or Campaign 2020 shirts, every single one of them now had this little pink box underneath it that said, in review. In review. And I was like, are you serious? In review? What is wrong with backing up the President of the United States of America regardless of who the hell he is. Now, I was going to play around, and I was going to make an Obama t-shirt and post it on there and see if they put it under review. But I can't stand Obama. I didn't like him from day one. He should have never been a president of this country. But that was 8 years of hell. But yeah, man, that's what they did. So I made some more quick shirts, and I did a shirt for, Generation X, which is the majority of all of us. We're all Generation Xers. Did one for our USA Headline News Company, Hardcore Truther, Chemtrail, Conspiracy Theorist. These are the these are the only shirts that you'll see scrolling under that damn any of the videos because of what they did. And matter of fact, while you guys are all here, let's check this out. Let's see if they still have them in review. I'm kind of curious. It should be interesting. Man, my sinuses are killing me. YouTube Studio. Let's check this out. And let's pan down in here into monetization. And let's go over here to merchandise. And here we go. Here's the section right here. Here's where you could organize the shirts that appear under the scrolling part, or underneath your videos. Let's see if they still have all of these shirts in review. And I think it's been over a month. Look. Okay, watch. Oh, they removed them. Oh, my God. Wow. See, what you can do is you can slide you can slide the shirt over just like this. And click save. And then those shirts will scroll under your videos. And you can see all of those shirts that I had that related to President Trump. They removed them all. Damn. You believe that? Son of a bitch. Wow. What a bunch of scumbags. Huh. You want to see something else? You want to see how bad I get censored? I also, for the last, since 2009, our local newspaper here in my area, it's just a small local newspaper, but it had been around for like 100 years, 101 years. And it finally closed down, So I decided to start doing local news for everybody in my Tri-County area here. And I'm about 20 miles south of the city of Pittsburgh. And I've had this Mon Valley, because the area that it's just nicknamed Mon Valley because it's a valley area along the Monongahela River. And I decided to put together a business and a Facebook page, and I started doing local news. And I've been doing it since 2009. And then in 2015, a bunch of crooked lawyers stole a bunch of money from a rich lady who was deemed incompetent, and they stole millions of dollars from her, and they reopened that newspaper company. And it was a real legitimate newspaper company, big gigantic building, the big printing presses, the whole 9 yards. I used to deliver that newspaper when I was a kid. Well, they reopened it with all of this stolen money. The one lawyer went to jail for like 10 years. Now they are my direct competition, and they hate my guts, the new newspaper. And I mean, they hate my guts. Why? Because I have over 10,000 followers. Their whole subscription, I think, is like, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 people, because they charge $10 a month for their website, and their newspaper is 5 pages long, and it's $1.50, and it comes out daily, and it's all complete garbage. But anyways, they hate my guts, and you could see right up here, just this morning, whenever I woke up, 1:30 in the morning, came out here. I've been doing some exclusive news reporting and investigations for a good friend of mine who just became the mayor of one of our small towns around here. He was actually the youngest mayor ever elected in the entire United States, elected at the age of 26. First thing he did, he uncovered millions and millions of dollars of a scam that the small town council people were running, using $4.3 million of the police department's pension fund. Yeah. And the Pennsylvania State Auditor General got involved. They've been threatening Matt's life for the last 2 years. And he's been absent from his job as a mayor for the last 20 months. And on January 6th, he went back and he took over like a boss. And I mean, whew, it got pretty nasty at the town council meeting. I've been helping him out, and I've been publishing videos and articles for our local news here. Because I uncovered with him and helped out with this whole entire fraud scheme, and people's going to be going to jail, man. People's going to be going to federal prison over this. Woke up this morning. I did an investigative article right here for him, and I posted this, and it got a lot of people stirred up. I have a lot of the town council people, one of them specifically, he's all pissed off at me because he knows that he's probably going to spend the rest of his life in federal prison at his age. That's a life sentence. And bingo, there you go. Between the town council criminals and the criminal local newspaper, they got my Facebook page suspended till January 15th. No reason. I didn't do anything bad. I don't post any garbage. I don't steal anybody's shit. Looky here. Stories from your page are not being shown in the news feed. This could be due to activities from your page that don't comply with Facebook policies. This limit is temporary and expires Wednesday, January 15th, 2020 at 9:31 p.m. Okay. There's no garbage on here, folks. I did this great video, narrated it, and put out the actual evidence that came from the Pennsylvania Auditor General. I didn't make it up. It came from the state. People didn't like it, especially the town councilman. And he didn't like it so much that he made this comment. Hey, idiot, who runs this page? My wife did not speak out of turn. She had the floor. Of course, you have no idea about parliamentary procedures and Robert's rules. Well, guess what? I learned all about that when I was in college. And I still know all about it. So, yeah, he got all jacked off, and he doesn't know who I am personally, but later on today, whenever I head down to the city council building, he's going to know who I am, because I'm going to meet him face to face, and I'm going to introduce myself as the idiot. But that guy's going to be going to prison. But as you can see, there's nothing on this Facebook page other than local news. This poor lady right here, she was elected the new treasurer of a town south of here called Uniontown. They went to swear her in a couple of days ago, and the, again, corrupt council people put a stop to it, had her bond revoked. To become a treasurer, you have to have a surety bond. I'm not talking about a criminal bond, a surety bond to be a treasurer. They had that revoked hours before she was ready to take her oath. And the reason why they did it is because of the color of her skin. So her and her lawyer filed a federal lawsuit. So what do you see? What Facebook violations do you see, snowflakes, at Facebook? Article that I wrote early this morning. Dr. Drew, the addiction doctor, he wants to challenge Adam Schiff for his congressional seat in California. Boy, that article goes against Facebook's policy. Holy hell. Here's another corrupt son of a bitch right here. Washington County Clerk of Courts. Washington County, right up the damn road from me. One of the most corrupt judicial systems in my area. This guy stole $100,000 in cash over the course of a year from people that were going into the courthouse, going into the clerk of court's office, and paying their fines in cash. He was keeping the money. Yeah. Another local article from the city of Pittsburgh. Some lady gets caught shoplifting. 2 state police officers approach her, all on camera. They're like, hey, you were shoplifting. She has a hot cup of coffee in her hand. What does she do? Throws it in the face of one of the police officers and tries to run away. Wow. A local paramedic was killed a few days ago in a tragic accident on one of our highways where there was a huge multi-vehicle accident. 6 people dead, 60 injured, involved a tour bus, and this poor guy, Matt, he was getting out of the back of the ambulance. Another truck slid out of control and hit him. Boy, what's wrong with that? What Facebook violations have you seen so far? Do you see porn? Do you see animal abuse? Do you see child abuse? I'm starting to get really mad now. I almost dropped another F-bomb. And if you notice, some of these articles are coming directly from the local TV stations here in my area. What violations? Here's a missing woman from the Newcastle area. Poor woman's been missing since December 20th. There's an all-out bulletin to help find her. I mean, here's an article that I wrote about a former CIA officer. Says Iran has sleeper cells all over the United States. President Trump's speech, that's what did it. President Trump's speech on Iran yesterday. That's what did it. Who the hell knows? Here is the a news article from the local WTAE in Pittsburgh. That's my buddy Matt, the youngest mayor in the United States. There's the big mouth right there that called me an idiot. This was the town council meeting. Matt went in like a boss and started firing people. He fired the city solicitor, and he filed this woman right here, this administrative assistant, or whatever the hell she does, fired her ass and fired his ass. Why? Because these people were all involved in that police pension fund scam, and they're probably going to be going to jail. But what do you see? This guy was arrested and charged for beating his 14-month-old child to death. That's his mugshot. It's in the news all over our TV stations locally, what do you see? This person scamming, stealing money, and caught on camera using somebody else's debit card. This is a new local sheriff of Westmoreland County. He went to take office for the first time, winning the sheriff election, and they dumped garbage all through his office and stacked up all this. They just trashed his office on his first day. That's from WPXI News in Pittsburgh. Do any of you see any violations that would cause Facebook to suspend this page? No. And guess what? Throughout the summer, June, July, and August, June, July, and August, I went through the same crap of them censoring me with USA Headline News. I got over 102,000, almost 103,000 people that follow this page. Okay? Look, 67 people saw the article. They've destroyed everything that I've set up. And I do things by the book, folks. Lousy 220 out of 103,000. Article that I wrote yesterday. 80 people saw it. That's it. One comment. And I share these all over my Facebook page networks and Twitter. Nothing. Last month, at the beginning of December. Was it the beginning? Oh, excuse me. Yeah, beginning of December. Woke up in the middle of the night, started my day at 3 a.m. like I do all the time. I went to check my bank account because I was going to be heading to Walmart to do some Christmas shopping. Guess what? My bank account was frozen. Yeah. And I don't piss around with regular banks. I've been a member of a credit union here since 2005. Yeah. So I had to dance around and figure out why my bank account was frozen. I had no money in my wallet, just my debit card, and it took me 2 days to get it all cleared up. And my bank still never told me what happened because they don't know. And in order to freeze a bank account, that has to be done internally at the bank. And they don't know. So, you want to talk about being targeted? There you go. There you go. It sucks. But that is the life. That is the true life of somebody that wants to put out the truth. Somebody that genuinely wants to help others. You don't get a pat on the back. You get a punch in the face and then a kick in the balls. If you have them. But that's where we're at, folks. You guys want to follow the USA Headline News? I do great articles, man. I do great articles. I research them, and I put them together very, very well. Fantastic website, fantastic Facebook page. And in 2018, man, we were jamming. We were jamming. But Face Puke put a stop to it. Just like every other form of social media has done to me, they have put a stop to every single thing that I do. Matter of fact, I'm sure like a lot of the trolls will love to hear this. All of the book sales, all of the 14 books that Dr. Albers and I wrote, Um, we haven't sold a number of books in months. I mean, here, check this out. About 2 weeks ago, I'm scrolling through Facebook just like this, and an advertisement for Amazon books came up. And it was a carousel ad, which means you can scroll through. It shows you several pictures, and they were books. Guess what? Out of the 5 books that it was showing me in the Amazon ad, 2 of them were our books. So they've wiped out my t-shirt website. They've wiped out our books. They've wiped out my Facebook profiles. They've wiped out my YouTube channel. They've wiped out everything. So they are literally trying to erase me from you people. That's why I have that private network. And I keep telling you guys, there's going to come a day where you're going to be looking for me, and you're going to be looking for this real information, and you're not going to find it. That's why I have the private network. It's $5 a month. It doesn't make me rich, but it does help to take care of the web hosting, which runs me about $300 a month. So if you guys want to help out, you want to support me, join the private network. I don't need donations and everything and blah, blah, blah. Join the private network. The link is in the description box. And you'll have access to the documentaries that I'm doing. And you're going to have access to a lot of other things that I'm going to be posting privately, where I don't have to be under the thumb of these social media people, the social media giants. And folks, let's be realistic. That's what it's all coming to. Sooner or later, they're going to start purging and shutting the switches off on all your favorite people on the boob tube and Facebook and Twitter. And it's going to be lights out. So if you guys want to help me out in that way, so be it. I don't need the donations and stuff like that, and I appreciate anybody who sends $1 or $2 or whatever. But you want to support me in this channel and this work, that's great. But really what you're doing is you're keeping yourself in the loop for that information. Because I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, I could feel it. They're going to shut the shit down across the globe, and that's it. And you're not going to have anywhere to find what you're looking for, because they're going to be showing you and telling you what you can see. That's coming. That's coming. And that's not going to be because of your government. That's going to be because of the social media giants. I can guarantee you, when I finish this live stream, in just a few seconds, they will instantly demonetize this video, if they haven't done it already. I'm kind of curious, aren't you? Let's check and see. Because they do it to me every time. Look. Didn't I tell you? Look. Now, I'll click the request review. And after about 2, 3, 4 days after the video maxes out on the little bit of views I get, then they'll remonetize it. You know, so they don't want me to make $2, $3. You know. Oh my God. What do I have to put up with, man? Ain't that some crap, people? I'm, at least I'm truthful with all of you guys, and I literally show you, I don't just sit here and talk smack. I show you the proof and I show you the evidence. Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people have been asking me real quick, and then I'm going to jump off of here. I got to go fight with those people down at that city council. This is going to be fun. I can't wait. Oh, somebody was asking me about Secure Team and Tyler. Oh my God, my sinuses. Folks, look, I don't know what happened with Tyler. I don't believe the guy, Secure Team 10, I don't believe a damn thing that they're accusing him of, if that's the real story. I know Richie from Boston touched on it. Several other people touched on it. I don't know. I mean, the guy doesn't seem like he's violent. I heard about what he was accused of for the DUI and I think assaulting his wife or longtime girlfriend. I don't think the guy did it. That's just my gut feeling. I saw his initial video. And the DUI crap, he definitely doesn't look like a drinker. I've been through the DUI BS. I got a DUI, 2014. And I wasn't even drunk. Matter of fact, I didn't even have a drop of alcohol in my body. I had the flu. And I had been taking cough medicine because I had a horrible cough, horrible chest congestion. And I got pulled over by a corrupt cop. And I was using an inhaler because I had bronchitis real bad. And as I was sitting in the police station, he's like, you're drunk. And I'm like, I'm not drunk. He goes, I could smell the alcohol from here. And I'm like, you don't smell no alcohol. You smell garlic. I just got done eating a half a dozen of fresh garlic rolls that I made. That's what you smell. But no. It was alcohol. So when they took me to the police department and they wanted to give me the breathalyzer, I said, yeah, man, no problem. Let's do this. And then I started coughing real bad. And they took my wallet, my keys, towed my car, and they took my inhaler off of me. And it was sitting on the police officer's desk. And I was choking and coughing so bad, there was no way that I was going to be able to blow into that machine, without choking. And I said to the cop, I'm like, hey, man, can you do me a favor? Can you let me use that inhaler real quick? I'm dying over here. He's like, yeah. He goes, make it quick. So I did 3 pumps of that inhaler, and I didn't realize that using that inhaler would cause the breathalyzer machine to register me at 3 times over the legal limit. Then when the machine went haywire, the cop's like, okay, yeah, you're definitely under arrest for DUI now. And I'm like, look, your machine's fucked up. I want to go to the hospital for a blood test. And he refused. He goes, if I got to take you to the hospital for a blood test, that means you're going to jail and you're going to have to bond out. And I'm like, oh, the hell with this. I'll just fight it in court. Yeah, but DUIs are big money. And we proved, later on, my attorney found out that, yeah, using any type of inhaler or other substances can cause a breathalyzer to malfunction and produce a crazy reading. He even brought up a case where a guy had a blood alcohol level of 0.38, which would have put you in a coma. Yeah. But the guy didn't have a drop of alcohol in his body, but they still convicted him of a DUI because it's big money. So I don't know what happened with Tyler at Secure Team 10. Like I said, folks, if you are a real hardcore truther in these networks of social media, you do not stand a chance. Now, if you're somebody like Dave Dobbs or Steve Olson or some of these other fake YouTube channels that try to do this kind of work, because they're producing fake content that's just completely nonsense. It's like a storybook or a comic book. YouTube won't bother you. They won't bother you at all. They'll let your channel run free. But if you are a hardcore truther like me and many others, they'll bury you. They'll bury you and you won't even know it. You'll start wondering, what the hell happened to my YouTube channel? Now, if I open up another YouTube channel and I do little kitty cat videos, hell, I could probably make $10,000, $12,000 a month on YouTube. They just had that little Oriental boy here in the United States broke the record for YouTube earnings. He made $20 million. Yeah, I think the kid's like, I don't know, 6, 7 years old. If you're a gamer and you like to play video games and you're a grown-ass adult, yeah, man, they don't care about any of that stuff. But if you're out there uncovering the truth, researching matters like this and other science matters, they will take you down. Yeah. Anybody any questions, man? I'm gonna dip out of here because I gotta get down to that city council and I gotta pick a fight with that guy that called me an idiot. If you don't hear from me within the next couple of days, maybe I punched his lights out. I don't know. We'll see. Was it 20 million? Stacks? Was it 20 million that kid made? 20 million bucks? Holy hell. Man. Yeah, it is what it is. But listen, folks, like I said, you want to do me a favor? You want to help out? Join that private network. The link's in the description box. If you want any of the shirts, links in the description box, books, everything that I've pretty much done over the last couple of years, which, I provided all that stuff for you and your learning experience. All the links are in the description box below. And that's the best way to help me out and help everybody else out. At least that gives them a chance to see what you're posting on Facebook or Twitter. And we'll go from there. I'm going to be keeping an eye on all of this geomagnetic unrest. I have a feeling it's going to get a lot worse. And hey, man, say a prayer for those folks in Puerto Rico. I don't think their nightmare is anywhere near over. So all of you, be safe out there. Be safe on the roads. Take it from me, don't drink and drive. And be safe. You'll hear from me soon. Stay tuned to Planet X News, folks. Take care.